Hi everyone, I'm Bianca Goladriga and this is Yahoo News Live. This month we'll devote every Friday to mark Black History Month, and today the focus is the legacy of the first African American president, Barack Obama, and what he's meant to the African American community. This, of course, on the day after probably the most heated debate between the two Democratic rivals hoping to take President Obama's spot in the White House. Mo Elleithee is the executive director of Georgetown University's Institute of Politics and Public Service. And Dee Watkins is a columnist for Salon and the author of The B-Side, Living While Black in America. Gentlemen, thank you both so much for being with us today.
Thank you.
Dee, I want to begin with you. In 2008, President Obama got 95% of the African American vote, and in 2012, he got 93%. Clearly, there were high expectations for the first African American president in the U.S. How has he lived up to those expectations?
I think it's hit and miss. You know, saying yes to something is always saying no to something else. Obama has done amazing things for America and things that will continue to affect the African American community for a long time. But I think that the big lesson through all of this is what a lot of us learned at how systemic racism works.
And Mo, there was a sense of pride in this country 8 years ago, regardless of political parties, that this country elected its first African-American president. Now many feel that racial tension has only heightened, and no one's saying that it's all President Obama's fault. But to what do you attribute this current environment?
Yeah, look, I think you're right. I think there was a tremendous amount of pride. I think there still is a tremendous amount of pride that that we elected our first African-American president. But I think there was also, with some people, not everyone, but with some people, a certain level of naiveness, naivete that, okay, we're done. Problem gone. Problem solved. We fixed this whole thing. And that's just silly, right? There are so many systemic challenges and obstacles that it's going to take more than one president in office for 8 years to fix them. I think he's made tremendous progress, particularly in the African-American community. But you know, there's still a way to go, and he'd be the first to admit it.
And Mo, one of the expectations that hasn't been met is employment within the African-American community. New numbers out just today show that the unemployment rate overall in the U.S. is 4.9%, a good number, a great number. It's almost double that, however, for the African-American population. Yeah. Could this president have done more to boost employment within the Black community?
It's also important to understand where we came from, right? I mean, yes, African-American unemployment is twice that of the national number. But 5 years ago, it was double that. 5 years ago, it was over 16%. Now it's 8.3%. So there has been progress. It's moving in the right direction. But there needs to be more, and there's some systemic problems in our cities, in our education system that that we all need to continue to work on. You know, criminal justice reform, all these things attribute to that, and that's something I think the next president and the president after that are going to be continuing to deal with.
Dee?
Yeah, no, I totally agree. 8 years of a Black president can't end 500 plus years of systemic racism, and we see these things with the job numbers that have been put out. You know, Obama can make jobs all day long. He can create as many jobs as possible. But at the same time, if those jobs aren't making it into the Black community, or if you're still not being called back for an interview because your name is Keon, then the same problems will exist.
Dee, one of the rare moments where the president did intervene in a racially charged incident was the notorious beer summit in 2009. He immediately saw his poll number slip in the aftermath. Many now say that that convinced him not to become so involved in matters related to race. Critics say that, you know, he's the president of the United States, not just African American community, and that he shouldn't intervene in every single instance of racism. What do you say to that?
I say he is the president of the United States, and he has to walk a very difficult line. There's so many people, and it's crazy that even talking about in 2009, so many people still scared to talk about the topic of race and mention some of these issues. And he has to govern over everyone. So it's a very difficult task. But at the same time, what's right is right and what's wrong is wrong.
I want to ask this question to you both. Dee, I'll begin with you. I spoke with one of the leaders of the Black Lives Matter movement last year who said he would give President Obama an F when it came to race relations and how he dealt with that. What grade would you give President Obama? I'm going to ask both of you, starting with Dee and then Mo.
I would give Obama a B.
Mo?
I would give him a B.
Go ahead.
No, I'll give Obama a B.
Okay, Mo?
I'd give him an incomplete because it's not done, right? He's still working on it, and we're going to keep working on it. I think putting these sorts of grades on it almost belittles how big the task is to as Dee said, right, counter 500 years of systemic racism.
Mo, I finally want to ask you the last question. Since you've worked in Democratic politics for such a long time, I want to talk about President Obama's potential successor on the Democratic side. Later today, Senator Bernie Sanders is expected to pick up the endorsement of the former head of the NAACP, Ben Jealous. Yet Hillary Clinton overwhelmingly has an advantage in African-American support. Do you think that she could do more for the community than President Obama? Or do you think either one of them, actually, Clinton or Sanders?
Well, I think the key is whomever his successor is going to have to build on what he's done. And yes, I mean, I think there's an expectation even from this president, even from President Obama, that the next president is going to need to do more because every president builds upon what their predecessor did. I think right now, the way this race is shaping up, Bernie Sanders is going to have a tough time countering the deep-held support that Hillary Clinton has in the community. I think the last poll I showed, she had like a 60 to 70 point advantage over him. It's about getting out into the community and making the case and showing yourself to be a fighter for them. I think the African-American community is no different than anybody else in the sense that the person they elect, they want to know is going to be their champion and deal with these issues. She just announced yesterday before the debate that she's going to visit Flint, Michigan, a city that, the water poisoning there has been devastating to the community, and that she's been trying to help from her perch now. That kind of thing, I think, matters. It's not an F, right? I'm not saying that she gets an atta girl and thumbs up and you're done, but showing the willingness to get out into the community and show that you're going to be an advocate and a champion and fighter is the first step of a very long journey. And I think right now she's doing that a little bit better than Bernie Sanders. And
Senator Sanders, however, also reminded viewers at home that the city of Flint, Michigan is predominantly African American and pondered whether or not the same thing would have happened in a predominantly middle-class white town. I want to ask you, Dee, the same question. Do you think Hillary Clinton or Bernie Sanders can carry the mantle and do more even for the African American community? I spoke with one community leader who said that Democrats should not take the African American vote for granted.
No, I totally agree. And right now, in my opinion, and based upon the people I represent in the communities that I work with, we're not impressed by Hillary or Bernie at all right now. Even with the trips that have been made to Baltimore, they've, meet with the elite, take a walk through the projects, and then keep it moving. So we'll see. We're willing to work and build with anyone that's willing to work and build with us, but we're not just going to sit here and sing praises over whatever the Clinton legacy with the African American community is supposed to be, because it's 2016 and nothing's happening right now. So we have to keep working and stay positive.
Well, gentlemen, of course, this is a discussion to be had long after the month of February, and we at Yahoo will continue to have this discussion. Hope you can join us again throughout this race for the White House.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us. And we always look forward to hearing what you have to say. You can follow me on Facebook and Twitter at Bianna Golodryga and use hashtag Yahoo Live to let us know what you think about President Obama's legacy as we mark Black History Month.